Hi, my name is Rachel, and today we have another Authors Behaving Badly. Today's author is Clifford Irving. In the 1970s, Clifford Irving was an author and a reporter, and he created a plan that involved high amounts of fabrication in order to publish what he said was going to be an authorized autobiography of the reclusive billionaire named Howard Hughes. What ended up happening was one of the most unhinged sagas of the 1970s that the media and the public were just like eyes glued to as much as they could be. This was the 70s. It's not like this was happening on TikTok. If this had happened in like today's day and age, well, I mean, we have a lot of like literary scandals that are almost similar. So you can go watch Cindy's videos on like Taylor Barton. I'm not sure if this could happen the way that it happened in today's day and age. So let's get into it. Clifford Irving wrote the most famous unpublished book of the 20th century, which was the autobiography of Howard Hughes. This was a literary scam that made headlines and landed him and his wife in prison. This autobiography would not have been Clifford Irving's first book. He wrote 7 books before this scandal happened, both fiction and nonfiction. In fact, he had written before about scam artists, such as in his 1969 book, Fake, the story of Elmer de Ori, the greatest art forger of our time. So in Christmas-ish of 1970, Clifford Irving is reading Newsweek, where it mentions in Newsweek that Howard Hughes, this eccentric billionaire, has become a hermit who is surrounded by nursing staff and secretive Mormons, and he was very nervous about his health, and so he never left his apartment. So who was Howard Hughes before we talk about what Clifford Irving did to and about this man? Howard Hughes was a very interesting person. At the time he was alive, he was one of the most influential people that was living. Howard was involved in aerospace. He was inducted into the National Aviation Hall of Fame in 1938. Howard Hughes set a record by completing a flight around the world, the whole world, in just 91 hours. And that's actually the least interesting thing about him. Oh, he flew around the world in 91 hours, and that's actually super boring compared to what comes after. We'll get there though. He was also involved in Hollywood. He produced things like Scarface and Hell's Angels. And then he went on to invest a ton of money in businesses in Las Vegas. And by invest, I mean that he owned so much of Las Vegas. Eventually the government was like, hey, Howard, you can't keep buying all of this. And they were investigating Howard for antitrust. When he arrived in 1966 in Las Vegas, he had plans to stay at the Desert Inn for over a week. He rented 2 floors, and he did not stay for 10 days. He stayed for years. And what I mean is he did not leave that room, his room inside of this hotel, for years. And while there, he just kept, like I said, buying parts of Las Vegas. So the Frontier, the Sands, the Castaways, the Landmark, the Silver Slipper, North Las Vegas Airport, Alamo Airways, and a news station. That's right, Howard Hughes was quite literally playing Monopoly with the city of Las Vegas. Hughes was one of those like eccentric billionaires to the point of being annoying, which, you know, I think we all can agree that billionaires fucking suck. But he was like annoying about it, where he was like, I like this thing, I'm gonna buy a bunch of this thing. So one time he became obsessed with banana nut ice cream, Baskin Robbins banana nut ice cream. So he had his aides order an absolute shit ton of banana nut Baskin Robbins ice cream. And then a few days later, after receiving said shipment, he was sick of banana nut Baskin Robbins ice cream and decided he only wanted French vanilla. You can see why Clifford Irving was like, I need to write a book on this man.
Gotta figure out how to make money on this. I really want to.
So this guy was buying tons of property, retreating from public life, doing really weird and eccentric shit. So you can see that the story was worth some money. In 1970, hanging out in Spain, Clifford Irving met with his friend Richard Susskind, who was his friend and an author of children's books. So they concoct this scheme to write Howard Hughes's autobiography and pass it off as the real thing. And Irving and Susskind was like, no, they were like, no, this is brilliant. He will never come for us because he's such a recluse. He'll never come out of the woodwork. It's brilliant. Only men would concoct this scheme. They're like, no, he's not going to sue us for libel. He never even leaves his house. And they're like, no, we'll be really nice about the autobiography too. So even if he does find out, he'll be like, at least it's nice. They began researching Howard Hughes's life, which included like him inheriting his family tool company in Texas, the movies he produced for Hollywood, which were very successful, his ownership of a Hollywood studio, his career as a pilot, his relationships with popular actresses, and then his like deterioration and how he ended up where he is now, being an eccentric billionaire who never leaves his house. Irving gets his hands on a partial autobiography that wasn't published. He gets other friends to start forging letters saying that they were from Howard and they were imitating the handwriting of Howard Hughes that had been displayed in Newsweek. So the editors over at McGraw-Hill were like, absolutely, we will publish this thing. That sounds great. We would love to publish the official autobiography of eccentric billionaire Howard Hughes. What a moneymaker. They pay Clifford Irving in advance, but then investigative journalists were like, this isn't real. There's no way. So they start looking into this. And these people had already dedicated time to like trying to find out more about Howard Hughes anyway. So then the publishers, McGraw-Hill, catch wind of this and they're like, Clifford, we need you to like verify that this is actually Howard Hughes' autobiography. And Howard's not going to verify, so we need you to verify. So Clifford Irving goes on national television in 1972 and is like, I swear to God, this is like totally real. He fools this interviewer named Mike Wallace. Irving puts on this entire performance talking about anecdotes about his first meeting with Hughes. Hughes pulls out this bag of organic prunes. Like, Irving had stories that made him sound so legitimate. But it wasn't the investigative journalist who finally caused the downfall of Clifford Irving. It was Howard Hughes himself. Howard Hughes was sitting in the Bahamas and was like, absolutely fucking not. He calls up some people who knew him, who he hasn't talked to in a long ass time. He's like, it's me. It's Howard. This fucking autobiography is not real. That is not sanctioned by me. So there's a recording of him denouncing the autobiography, calling it a hoax. And so all of this that Clifford Irving had concocted saying, oh yeah, Howard wanted me to write this book. He heard about my book talking about that art forgery and he wanted me to talk about his story. He sanctioned this autobiography. And McGraw-Hill, when they purchased this book, originally said, okay, $500K, $400K to Hughes, and $100K to you. And Irving argued with them until they bumped that up to $765,000 of an advance. And what was supposed to happen was that checks were supposed to be paid to Howard Hughes. Irving had his wife set up an account under the name H.R. Hughes, which then his wife Edith deposited to a Swiss bank account. So the money was already paid out to Howard, Irving, and Irving. So now Clifford Irving is in a shit ton of trouble for all that money. It was like a major case of fraud. That's a ton of money. So Swiss authorities were investigating H.R. Hughes. They figured out that Edith Irving is the one depositing the funds. Hughes' lawyer, Chester Davis, filed lawsuits against McGraw-Hill. And in the end, the Irvings did confess. Both Edith and Clifford Irving and Richard Susskind were indicted for conspiracy to defraud through the use of mails. Clifford Irving spent 17 months in prison. Edith served a prison sentence both in the United States and in Switzerland. And this absolutely ruined their marriage. He had to pay back all of the $765,000. After Clifford Irving was released from prison, he continued to write fiction and some nonfiction. And his 1981 book about his own fraud called The Hoax was a bestseller. So he got to write a bestseller anyway, of course. Orson Welles' film F for Fake was partially inspired by this scandal, and in 1999, Clifford Irving, who was still alive at the time, put his autobiography about Hughes on the internet for consumption. There's also a film about this starring Richard Gere called The Hoax. So it seems really popular, but until I started looking into like more authors behaving badly, I'd never heard of this guy, but he did live in Florida for a while, actually. He never got away from this scandal. Whenever somebody would review his latest book, because he kept publishing, every single review of his book would mention that he was the Howard Hughes scandal guy. If he had just waited a couple more years, he might have actually gotten away with this, because Howard Hughes died only a few years after this whole scandal happened. So if he had just waited like 8 to 10 years, he might have gotten away with this. Not that I want him to, I just think that it's funny that he was like, no, Howard will never say anything. I know him. You literally don't. And that's the problem. Irving like complained about the unfairness of how the reviews of his book would never stop mentioning this scandal. And it's like, well, you tried to like steal somebody's life story for money. So ew. No matter how much success he could ever achieve, it was never going to outshine the fact that he did a scandal. Big ol' scammed $765,000 out of a publisher. Clifford Irving never got away from this. This was the biggest thing attached to his name until he died in 2017. And I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you pesky billionaires and your banana nut ice cream too. Anyway, that's the story of Clifford Irving and how he said fuck billionaires, but like in the worst way possible. Like, you couldn't think of a different way to swindle a billionaire? This was all you had in you? Ah, come on. Leave your favorite literary scam down below. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you feel like it, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Okay, before I go, I have to say thank you for being a friend to my Therapy Bills patrons, and those are Alexander, Ashley H, Astra, Brittany Bobitney, Call Me Kodiak, Cami, Choco's Homesick for Taiwan, Chris the Horror Therapist, DJ Rocktopus, Ellie, Emerald Dodge, Aaron with 2 E's, Eric D, Jess, Joel White, John E, K, Kaleno K, Casey McKenzie, Kate W, Katie M, Quinn, Lady Kittybug, Lady Chips, Lauren K, Lemon Jelly, Lex, Lily B, Matteraptor, Max B, Melissa, Minby, Mixer Boneless, Alice, Peggy Luhu, Rain, Reese, SJ, Samar, Scarlett, SMK, Steph B, 3 Raccoons in a Trench Coat, Urchin Audrey, White Raven 13, and Zorvictia. Thank you all so much for being here and for being a friend. And I have to say thank you for being a friend to my Potato Starch Marxist patrons, and those are Alejandra, Alicia Needs a Nap, Alistair, Althea, Amanda D, Andy, Angelica, Artie the Ninth, Ava, Ballads and Bookends, Beck, Bly Lavender, Bookish by Jenna, Bookish Rabbit, Book Noodle, Bree Caitlin, Kate B, Caitlin P, Carlin, Carly, Casper, Kate W, Catherine, Kathy, Claire Online, Cole, Colleen, Corwin, Cosmic, Darius, Danielle, Darren, Desiree Michelle, Dilf Enthusiast, Dorothea is not like other girls, Drive-By Thinker, Evie, Emily A, Emma, Fiona, Francis, Gadarn, Halia Artisan, Hannah C, Harpy Kuro, Helen P, Harissing, H. Rissing. Oh my God, you're going to have to tell me how to say that. I'm so sorry. JM Tennant, Jay is on Olympus, Jelly V, Jello Salad, Jen Michelle, Gender Queer, Jenny G, Jessa Sue, Jill, Jojo Bookish, Juicy Wizard, Kathleen, Catherine, Katie L, Katrina, Kaylee, Kayala, Kendra, KMTB, Laughing Cat Dog, Laura is Angry, Lauren G, Lazarus Ray, Library of Scars, Lindsay, Lisa, Lisa L, LP, Luciri, Lustful Octopus, MK Martin, Maddie, Madison, Man-Eating Plant, Megan, Malara, Mentally Unwell, May, Mima Who, Molly, Myth Lesbian, Never, Nicole G, Nicole R, Paige P, Pandemonium, Paul, Penelope, Penny Chilling, Foxglove, Plague Carrier, Pandemonium, Queen Cereal, Rachel B, Reba, Rebecca, Rebecca R, Rhea S, Ronnie, Rosie Thorns, Rowan, Sikoria, Saintbringer, Sakia Lume, Sarah H, Sarah the Bear, Sarah Z, Shamed, Shannon, Sean, Sophie, Stardust, T. Delegati, Talia, That Nerdy Mystic, This Is Not a Trap, what a name, Tiana, Too Thick to Work Today, Trash Can Teddy, Triple M, Tito Phoenix, Unicorn Jenny, Waves, Wobbs, Writer A. Thank you all so much for being here and for being a friend.